Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I am Skeindeer Knits as the designer on Ravelry. And don't forget to join my Ravelry group Skeindeer Knits, which is the best place to take part in knit-alongs and giveaways and the Skeindeer Knits community. So yeah, how y'all been doing? To new viewers, this is kind of where I talk about knitting, usually on a weekly basis. And to returning viewers, I guess we're not quite back to the weekly basis just yet. I am still, as you know, working on my PhD, and I'm on the kind of last polishing bits of the thesis write-up before I submit by the end of the year. So yeah, I do take time to record whenever possible to talk about my knitting, be it my personal own designs, because I am a designer, in case you didn't know, and sometimes just other things that I knit for fun. And we have a lot of content today, don't you worry. I am going to start off talking about the knit-alongs that I'm running. I have a bunch of announcements, and then I'm going to show you 3 finished garments. Yeah. So the knit-alongs that I'm running is 1, the Skeindeer Knits Garment KAL, which is running from the beginning till the end of 2020, and the only really rules and requirements is that you knit any of my garment patterns, and you get as many entries as many of my garment patterns as you knit, be it pullovers, cardigans, or that one skirt pattern. So that's basically the criteria there. You just have to have started and finished this year. I now have a finished objects threads. I do like to show you guys the items that you guys have made and put them up on here, so we're going to do that now. So I really hope you enjoy that. I just love seeing what you guys make. I can't believe how many wonderful items now exist out there that I, once upon a time started charting out in my little Excel spreadsheet, and now people are wearing it, and that's so cool. The other knit-along that I'm running, which is also gonna finish at the end of the year, is the, Selby Mitten Club's KAL. Because I used to run a Selby Mitten club every year. I've done that since 2017, but this year there just was no time to do it. I also would like to try something a bit different, which I didn't have time to really do either. So For those of you who do miss the clubs, we're just going to do all the clubs at once, and again you get as many entries as many pairs of mittens that you make from any of the 3 previous clubs. So that's pretty much that. I think we have the costume date for like beginning of October or something like that, so, or September, I don't remember. You find the rules in my Ravelry group, that's always going to be the case, and it's a lot more reliable than my memory right here and now. So what are the announcements? I have a lot of announcements. First of all, yes, to all of you who have been asking, and there have been a lot of you, I will indeed be doing a Advent mitten thing. So what I've been doing also for the past 3 years is a mystery Advent mitten KAL, a MKAL if you will. So yeah, a lot of people have asked me, and I've been kind of hesitant about saying whether I will or will not do it, because I don't like to promise that I will do it unless I have a design ready. Now, is it ready? It's close to ready. It's in the final stages, so I can definitely say it's going to happen. I don't have the exact dates for every clue right now, but obviously we're aiming for finishing, well, the last clue to come out before Christmas Eve, and I think we're probably going to have the first clue come out the 1st of December. So I really need to get working. I have a lot to get done, but I just wanted to say that if by any chance, which it could be, you know, that I have put up the pattern for sale on Ravelry by the time this episode goes up, I'll put a discount code here for people who want to join in early. That code will obviously only be valid for a short period of time, so you know, don't come back here in a month from now and be like, oh, it doesn't work anymore. That's just how they work. They are for people who are early. The other thing I wanted to announce is that yeah, I'm gonna endeavor to do Vlogmas also yet again. Also something I have been doing since 2017. Does that mean that 2017 was like my debut year? I guess it was. So we're gonna keep it up. Do you guys remember last year I said I was gonna like do the last Vlogmas in London, and like here we are still. Thanks Corona, but it's actually mostly my PhDs. That's to blame for that. And so yeah, there will be Vlogmas. There will just be a short little snippet of my life every day from the 1st till the 24th of December. That will be posted here on this channel. There really isn't much to add to that. Obviously it's going to be more in a vlog format, a sort of day in my life kind of thing, rather than knitting content. So if you're just here for the knitting content, don't feel bad for skipping over that. But if you do want to, I don't know, spend an extra 5 minutes with me every day, then you know, that's there to get you in the spirit. I certainly will need that this year, because I am probably most likely gonna be stuck in London because of that heckin' pandemic. So yeah, I think needing to keep some things the same. Vlogmas. I'm gonna do my best to try to find content for Vlogmas, because like everything is closed. There are no events. There's nothing happening. So ideas are welcome. And the final announcement I have to share with you guys today is that the book from Knit with Attitude, the 10th anniversary book of theirs, has finally come out, and it has a pattern of mine in it, which you already know, but that pattern is now available inside the book, and that is available from Knit with Attitude. So if you want to get that, I'm going to link it below. So that's out in the world. I don't currently have the book to show you just yet, but I have been told it is beautiful, and I have no doubt that it is. So I hope you will enjoy it. I'm very excited about it. I can't believe how popular the pattern that I have in the book got on Ravelry. Like, honestly, like Jonas' photography, you know, the model, the location, I'm just like, can they just do all my patterns? That would be great. Thank you. So I am just about to be done with the announcements. I promise you, we're gonna get to knitting, and actually the last announcement is strictly to do with knitting, because I have a bunch of new patterns. Yeah, 6. 7 if you count generously, well, but I do have 6 new patterns to show you. They're all hats. Can I be forgiven for not putting them all on to show you? Because I have a pretty okay headache today. We don't need to frizz it up any more than it already is. But let's just do a couple. Okay, I'm gonna put on the favorite. The theme of this collection may be obvious to you. It might be. I don't know. Can you find a theme here? It is basically making hat patterns that go with my existing sweater patterns. So what I am wearing is the Nordbacken hat, which I made with leftover yarns from the Nordbacken hat. The Nordbacken cardigan. So this is in Rarverk sport weight yarn, and this is the red from the cardigan, and this is the grey from the contrast colour of the same cardigan. So that's one of the patterns. It's sport weight. You'll notice a lot of these hats have slouches to them, but honestly, if you don't know a slouch hat person, like many of my test knitters are not, you literally just knit the hat shorter before you do the crown. That's basically it. So, and I do think I put in the pattern how long the crown is, so that's very easy to figure out basically. And you can see the photos of my test knitters on the pattern page, how their hat looks, so you can choose slouch or not slouch. But I have written the length for slouch, so yeah, that's the only difference between a slouch and no slouch hat, just the length of the hat before the crown. The crown is the decreases, the little bit up here. Wow, okay, that's a cute look. So yeah, we have the Stonewood hat. This is leftover yarn from the Stonewood sweater. Same yarn, bums. This is not a slouch, so they're not all slouchy. You can't really make this one slouchy. It's not going to be possible. So yeah, you can just layer all the hats, you know, this is sensible. This is a look. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just make them all look ill-fitting. This is the Eventyr hat from the Eventyr sweater, the one in the Knit with Attitude books. I used leftover yarn there. This is Blåne by Hillesvåg, and I just love it. Oh. So then we have the Utra hat. It's like this weird triple folded something. I've actually made improvements of this hat since I designed it, because you can see here the kind of pearl on the inside is sort of showing. So you can do a lot more of the stockinette before you get to that you turn to do the stockinette, so it's facing out. It's weird. So you got like a layer here, you got a layer here, and then you got the actual layer that is the hat. it's a lot. Don't be confused. It's actually pretty oh my god, I made it sound so complicated. It's not, let me tell you. Start knitting here, lots of yellow. Then you are told to do the chart, so you do that in the round. Then you just knit that together with the cast on, because it's provisional. I've given like 3 different provisional methods. You can just choose the one you like. It doesn't matter which one you choose. And then you just do a bit of stockinette, and then you turn so you have stockinette for the hat. And if you want to like do like a short row turn or something, that's fine. I'm just turned because it's going to be the inside of the work. It doesn't matter. So you get 3 layers to warm your ears, but the top is quite nice and thin, so your head can breathe. So this is the Utra hat. Pretty cool, you know, we're trying to be very down with the hipster kids of Shoreditch. I'm just seeing them walk by here. And this one, which is probably the reason that I did this entire collection to begin with, is the Isbre hat, because it has finally given me a reason / excuse to make a tutorial for the how to avoid long floats method. I think it's called Ladderback Jacquard. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same one or if it gives the same result, but regardless, it basically means that you have these little columns of stitches that is only visible at the back of your work, where you can avoid these really long floats that you have happening between the kind of tips of the zigzags. So that's Isbre. Use Finul for that. Here I used the Shirlingstad yarn I used for the Utra yoke. If I didn't say that, I am just really disorganized right now, I can tell. You can of course use Finul. I'm going to recommend for the fingering sport weight hats to just always err on the side of sport weight. You don't want hats to have too thin fabric. They're meant to warm your ears, you know. So for once, maybe hold super soft double if you want to use that for once, you know. Usually I say single is fine, but in this case I'm just gonna say. So yeah, lastly we have the Korsakov the hat. Now this hat actually comes in sort of arguably 2 versions. It is the same version, but one of my test knitters did a earlier version that I had initially abandoned, which has dots all over the hat like lice, and it's got a stripe at the beginning and the end of the hat. And I didn't think that was gonna work, but then the test knitter did it and I was like, that is nice, I like it. So it's actually going to be 2 versions of this hat, so you can choose basically. The other one is just including the lice pattern in like an extra chart. That's it, and telling you to work a stripe before and after. It's just that that's the only difference. I am using Axolana DK for this hat because that is the yarn I will be using for a upcoming sweater pattern for Kuusakofta, which I have shown you in the past. You do know this one, hopefully, presumably. And yeah, so that's coming out very soon. It may come out at the same time as the hats for all I know. I don't have a specific date. Again, not an organized person. It's a good thing I work on my own. So these are all the hats. Wow, okay. The entire collection, 6 hat patterns, generally counting 7 if you think Kuusakofta has 2 versions. I mean, I would say it's 6. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And that's all up on Ravelry right now. I have been asked for people in the past, and I'm going to just say it again. I am actually thinking, I mean, I thought I would have it ready by now, my own shop to buy patterns from. This has been something I've been wanting to do for years, but and I thought I would have it done by the end of this year because I thought I would be done with my PhD in September really. I'm not, so I'm just gonna say I'm sorry that it's not up yet. Yep, so for now these are available on Ravelry. I'll put a discount code for early birds here. Thank you so much for just letting me do what I do. It's so much fun. It's ridiculous how much fun I've had with this hat collection. So just to summarize, we've got 2 chunky weight hats. You could probably get away with some Aran here, but I would err on the side of thicker yarns for all of these. We have 2 fingering sport weight, again err on the side of sport, a 3rd fingering sport weight, and a DK. Hat collection, up on the rabs. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about this hat collection. So hopefully it did come out in time for you guys to knit some Christmas presents. That was kind of the goal of mine. I do realize we are very close to December, but I also appreciate that there are many of us out there who do knit Christmas presents rather late, if at all. So now you got some hats you could knit, or just match your own sweaters. That's an option too. Because I don't know exactly when this episode is going to go up and when I am launching the Advent Mystery Mittens, or when I am going to launch a KAL pattern that I had in a book last year. I should have got that one to show you. I don't have it here right now. But you know, I can't always time my pattern releases with these videos. And I do try to make videos for every pattern release now, but it may not always be the case. Right now I don't know. So if you do want to be sure to not miss out on that, consider signing up for the newsletter. It has been really quite successful so far. People seem to really like the newsletter. I really like being able to reach you guys independently of YouTube and Instagram and Ravelry. And yeah, so that is a good way to be in the loop if you want to hear when the other patterns are coming out that I may or may not be able to make videos for. Just to put that out there. So yeah, anyway, so I have 3 new garments to show you guys. I will introduce the last 2 at the end, and that makes actually total sense, and start off showing you. Okay, so I haven't woven in the ends yet, but who's surprised? I'm not. But I'm going to start off by showing you the Christmas sweater. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Isn't it the cutest thing you've ever seen? Look at it. It is so cute. Oh. Every time I was just knitting on it, especially like when I joined the sleeves together with the body and it started to look like a jumper, I just kept putting it down. I'm like, it's so cute. And I'm just showing it to my flatmate, like, isn't it cute? Look at it. It's just stinking adorable. It is a pattern from this Reuma booklet, and it is this sweater here. But do not be fooled, the sweater body is as long as the sleeves, so she's got a lot of stuff tucked in under there. But this is the sweater pattern, and I have done a couple of modifications. Also, if you're curious about where to get this pattern, don't ask me, I don't know, but there are people in the Norwegian Knitting Pattern Help Desk thread in my Ravelry group that may be better suited to find out, because I just have no clue. I get my stuff in Norway when I get to go there, which is going to be a long while because I haven't been since January and it doesn't look like I get to go anytime soon. But that's besides the point. I made some modifications. The sleeves are pretty much per pattern. They may be a little bit longer, I think. But the body I did modify because I just wasn't too keen on the heart chart. I don't know why. It's really cute, but it just stands out a lot. So I thought having that all over the body, I don't know. So I just started straight on with the reindeer, and then I went on to the trees, and then I just went back to the reindeer. And then I got to the hearts, and I was gonna do the other hearts, but I'm like, I'm not gonna have the big hearts like right here, like at my face. So I just did more trees. So we didn't get more hearts after the sleeves. They're just on the sleeves. That's the only place they are. Yeah, and I think that's fine. So I'm gonna give it to Doma. Like, as much as I thought, okay, where do we begin? I don't know if everyone's that familiar with Norwegian commercial patterns. They are categorically different from the sort of indie patterns that you may be used to knit from, such as mine or others on Ravelry. Ours are very clear. They're very row by row, stitch by stitch, spoon feeding. You get everything handed to you. You get links to tutorials, to videos, to just blog posts about everything you need to know is in the pattern. Only thing you need to come in and know is knit, purl, cast on, bind off, right? That is like your quintessential indie designer pattern, because we are usually one person who can't deal with that many emails. So if people can manage on their own, that is ideal. And that is mainly the reason why those patterns are of such, I'm just gonna say it, high quality. So why is it that commercial patterns from Norway are often different? I'm not gonna say worse because I don't necessarily believe that. They are different, and that is mainly because they are made to just carry the yarn. Like, they're made by yarn companies. They're not made by design companies per se. They're made by people who produce yarn. And so even just buying the pattern actually requires you to buy the yarn with the pattern. And so write-up is usually quite simple. Construction is usually quite straightforward. And so sometimes there are some gaps, some leaps, some things where you just have to like know what you need to do. Like even just, sometimes even the decreases, like this was actually spelled out this time, I think anyway. Or I made a pretty accurate guess. But like when you get to the neckline shaping, there was a lot of things left to be desired there that I had to work up myself. But I am very, very, very happy working out these things myself. And I have been since the early days of my knitting days, probably because these are the sort of patterns you get in Norway, and you just, that is what you're used to just from the get-go. It isn't that you have to be a certain level of knitter to be able to knit that at all. It's just not, it's like a weird myth that, oh yes, patterns are like that in Norway because all the Norwegian knitters are just so skilled. And it's like, no, anyone can follow them. It's just a different mindset, and maybe being a little bit geared toward problem solving than just being spoon-fed. And I think that is just beneficial, to be honest. Like that can never be a bad thing, even though there are, you know, it could be explained maybe a little bit better. Like the beginning of the round is like back here at the raglan seam, which I think is good. But how does that work when you're working flat and the beginning of the round is now here? Is it here? Is it here? Who's to say? Do you break the yarn and continue here? Do you continue here and do it? It's not entirely clear, and it's, I guess it's not meant to be. And so that's the sort of thing that you're just kind of like, well, I guess do whatever works for you. And it's sort of going to be good enough anyway. Even if everyone does something slightly different, you end up with a neckline that is raised in the back. And I'm like, thank you, Roma. I love to see that, because there's a lot of times in these commercial patterns, you get the front and the back is identical. And so the front rides up and you kind of like, oh, ouch. So I do really appreciate some shaping here. This just looks right? This looks right. Not like a lot of the other raglans out there in the world that are just like this. I can't with those. I just can't. So I will say this is very much welcomed. And yeah, the back, as you can see, has an extra chart because it is raised. There's a lot of stitches for the neckline, and I was a little bit worried that it was going to be too wide. Also, I forgot to decrease about like 10 stitches or so before I got into the rib, and I was like, oh, I just want to be done with it. So I kept doing extra rib stitches. So I was even more worried that I was not going to fit. But what I decided to do is that when I was at this length, before folding the rib and doing the inside of it, I went down half a needle size. I went from a 3.5mm to a 3mm. I have no idea if that makes a difference, but it's sort of, I guess the neckline could easily end up being a little bit like this if you have the same needle size for both the inside and the outside of the rib. Maybe. Rib also has a way of pulling together anyway, so probably not. And then I bound off the rib with the stitches on the inside of the work, and from about here to about here I bound off with a 3mm, but at the front here I bound off with a 3.5, so that this can hang a little bit and you get that lower front. I don't know if that made a difference, but it just leads to a looser bind off just at the front here, in my mind, and relatively tight around here, so that, well, it has a very nice shape, and maybe would have had that anyway, but that was just kind of my thinking. So other modification, other than making the chart totally random, I used a very different yarn than what is recommended. It recommends a DK weight wool alpaca blend, which actually I will say, like, even though I am a known alpaca hater, I do think Idoma's wool alpaca blend is quite nice. I think a lot of wool alpaca blends can be quite nice when the ratio on the spinning is just right and you don't get that big hang. I wanted to use fenouil. I had fenouil in stash. Most of this is just fenouil leftovers, both of the greys are, whereas the kind of crimson red is a hank of Usk by Hillesvåg, and I used up almost the entire hank. Had a little bit left. So it's kind of just a scrappy sweater, to be honest. Almost. And I love it. I love it so much. Oh, it's just gorgeous. I should be wearing it now, but it's actually quite warm right now. It's sunny. It's not warm outside. It's just sunny, and that just makes such a difference in this flat. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just ready for Christmas. I am just so ready. This is just great. I love it. Oh, I'm being ridiculous, but yeah, we all need that. So need to weave in a lot of ends, and it's a go. It's just, yeah. I just want to knit more Christmas sweaters now, which, who am I even? But there you go. It's so cute. It's so, oh my god. Stop. So when it comes to the other two sweaters, I have a confession to make. I've been working on them since summer and I haven't shown you any of it. Why? Because I wanted to try out something a little bit different, and that little bit different is something you are going to see. I am going to make a more detailed video for each of these sweaters, and hopefully for future cast-ons. I don't see the point in doing it with existing whips, which is why I did not do it for the Christmas sweater here, but I have been doing it with the things I have cast on since, and we're gonna sort of transition into that genre as we go along. Right now we're in the overlap, but regardless, finished objects will always be part of the podcast. They'll always be part of the podcast. So where do we begin? Let's start off with Glenmore by Isolde Teague. I talked to my sister, and even though she's been wanting woolly socks for years and years, I'm like, yeah, but what sweater do you want though? So we went through a lot of patterns, looked at different things, and like, it's really difficult to choose patterns for non-knitters, because she's just like, I want a sweater with a pattern, and I'm like, what do you mean by pattern? It's like, I want it with a pattern. Like, do you mean color work? Do you mean lace? What is lace? What do you mean texture? Do you mean cables? And she's like, I don't know. So we went through a couple of patterns. I'm also just showing her those that use kind of big yarn and needles. And we landed on Glenmore by Isolde Teague. And I love me good Isolde patterns, because they're just the attention to detail, to construction, you know, the broad size range. I think they're really good. So that was fun. I also had a bit of a sort of yarn choice kind of situation, because I didn't really have the right yarn for this. I have worked with Serrano by De Rare Natura before. I have made my Coast pattern in it, and it is more of a chunky weight yarn, whereas The yarn I went with is definitely more Aran weight, and I'm gonna say that just if you're gonna make this sweater, I would suggest substituting for chunky if you're substituting, or just stick with Serrano. Even though it is classed as Aran, I would say it is definitely chunky. But having said that, you know, I do really like the fabric that I'm getting here, but it is a very fine, very light, very flowy fabric. You sort of get a sense of it. But I am loving it with this texture, and I talked to my sister about it before casting on and asked her, like, do you want that? Do you want a fabric that is a little bit, you know, you probably want to wear a camisole underneath? And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So she's getting this for Christmas. My little baby sister, who is now a mummy. Isn't that weird? It's weird. I had a bit of a snafu with the sleeve because I knitted the sleeve from about here to here, and that was full length, and it's like, that's not full length. I think someone isn't getting row gauge, that's someone. So I actually just unpicked the sleeve, took it off, and picked up stitches from like here. I basically crossed around, and you can see it in the video, but yeah, and then I just knitted the sleeve to the length I wanted extra and grafted the sleeve back on again. So yeah, you can see a little bump where I did that, but that's just, who cares? So we have a full length, and then I knew what length I wanted for the second sleeve and just did that as per, well, first I knitted straight up to here, and then I knitted as per pattern. Why row gauge has to be different for different people is, who can say, but that's the way I worked around that. Little bit of grafting. When I say grafting, I mean Kitchener stitch, although I do think I had to work Kitchener stitch in the stitch pattern, which is just a knit and purl pattern. So if you know how to graft Kitchener stitch with either knits or purls, you'll be fine. I'm just never gonna forget how to do Kitchener stitch after doing my Advent mittens by Kathy Lewinsky, because they all finish off with Kitchener stitch both for the mitten and the thumbs, and there were 24 of them. So never forget. I'll never forget. Same thing goes for Latvian braids, honestly. So that's the sweater. I actually had quite a bit of yarn left even, which I did not think would happen, but I mean, not that much. But I was according to the pattern, short on yarn. But yeah, no, we're good. And it's just great. I would say this is a contiguous drop shoulder, which isn't technically a thing, but why not? Because it starts off worked as a contiguous shape where you increase on each side of the shoulder seam, but instead of working this like increasing for sleeve stitches as you would do with a contiguous, you actually just work flat the front and back separate until you're down here, and then you pick up the stitches in the round the way you do with the top down drop shoulder. Brilliant, super simple, great use of the contiguous method, and we love to see it. I love the stitch pattern. I want to give you a close-up because it just, you just want to squish this fabric, don't you? You just want to squish it. Oh, I forgot to mention what yarn it is. My goodness, that is probably my favorite part. I mean, everything's my favorite part. I used Laxton's Blueface Leicester Massam blend in Aran weight. Blueface Leicester shortened to BFL is the BFL Massam blend of theirs. Comes in, I believe, 3 different weights: the fingering weight, the DK weight, and the Aran weight. And I have worked with the fingering weight before, both for Hodie Locatelli's Granito that I've never finished, and for the Birkin sweater by Caitlin Hunter that I gave to a friend of mine last year. And I have also worked with the DK yarn for my Hansel Hap, and I've also worked with the DK weight BFL Massam for the other sweater that I have finished. And I have to laugh because this sweater, I mean, they're the same color. Because I also decided to have a chat with my mom and say, hey, do you want a sweater for Christmas? Let's go through my yarn stash and see if there's a yarn there that you would like. And I showed her some different options because I knew I wanted to make this pattern, which we will get to what that is. My goodness. And my mom says this yarn, and I'm like, are you sure? I thought you would want, like, I don't know, burgundy, because that runs in the family. No, she really wanted this, something different, she said. I'm like, someone's gonna be matchy for Christmas. Just, yeah. So my mom and my sister, which is my entire family, you know, not the extended family, but yeah. I'm getting sweaters in the same yarn, only this is the DK way. So what is this? Well, wow, okay. This is a Bristol Ivy sweater pattern. Finally, I have knitted myself a Bristol Ivy. Bristol Ivy is really cool, and she makes just brilliant designs. Like, I went to her class in Dublin last year where she did a knitting outside the box talk, and it just inspired me so much. Like, I don't really do classes and talks much at yarn shows, but I decided to do that in Dublin. I went to Bristol Ivies and to Countess of Blaze, and both of them were incredibly inspiring. In fact, I will say it was Bristol Ivy's class that inspired the summer collection that I published last year. And as you will know, the summer collection last year was quite different from anything I had done before. The shapes, the construction, the yarn material, just like the kind of liberties that I took. I think that class of Bristol was a bit of a kick in the butt for me to just do it. Like, you don't need to know whether it's like it's gonna work, just try it, you know. And I did, and it was kind of cool. So finally I've got to knit one of her patterns. She did show this sweater in her class and talked about it, and she was like, you won't believe it, but this one is knitted top down entirely in the round, almost. And I'm like, well, how? Just how? I don't understand. So I had to try it for myself, and I tried to convey the construction to you guys. I don't know. Basically, you do 2 squares. It's a great opportunity to swatch if, you know, we did such a thing. But it's good because you basically just do the front square that you see here. I'm trying to like outline it behind here. And you do the same thing for the other square. And these are just 2 separate pieces of swatches, if you will, with this garter reach pattern on, which is the main pattern, right? So you've got these 2 little squares that you cast on and bind off. And you pick up stitches around one, except for one edge, and then you just do some cast on stitches. And you pick up around the other square, except for one side, and then you cast on some stitches. And you work around this little thing that looks like you're knitting a bib. Of course, the sides where you're not picking up stitches is the top here, so you can get your head through and pick up for the neckband and stuff. I don't know how explaining this well. It's just, it blew my mind. And then you just increase where there are these raglan seam essentially here. And the same thing for the back, but you decrease along the shoulder seam, yeah, so that they slope, but you're still getting more stitches in the end because you make more frequent increases here than the decreases you do for the slight sort of slope of the shoulders. And then you just set a bunch of stitches aside for the sleeves, and you keep on this increase pattern. You just keep that all the way to the end. And you also have a decrease rate here, which I actually got wrong. I did the wrong rate, but it still works. It's still a really nice A-line. I just did the rate that was for smaller sizes than the one I did, but it doesn't matter. Still very much a positive ease. And when you maintain this pattern of decreasing along here and increasing along the front, you get a split hem just naturally. This is all worked in the round. I worked across here. It is so cool. It is so cool. So you're basically working around, and the same at the back, just around. And then you pick up for the sleeves. You don't actually pick up anything. You just slide your needle into the stitches you put aside. And you just walk straight. Use the little end here to close the underarm gap. There's no picking up. And the sleeves are supposed to be like this long, but I just kept knitting, and what do you know, I had a full-length sleeve and I wasn't going to go back, so yeah. That's Sashiko by Bristol Ivy. So much fun. I hope my mom's going to love this. She did say she didn't want the sleeves to be very tight, and I did try on the sweater, and they might be a bit tight on me, so they might be a bit tight on her, who knows. Oh, so yeah. Maybe I should have gone up a needle size for the sleeves just to be on the side of caution from my mom, but you know, she's just gonna have to deal. It is such a nice squishy sweater, and if anything, it would be a very nice sweater for me to wear when I'm home. So there. That's all I have to say. It is such a cool sweater. It is so cool. I love when people think differently when they design stuff. I just love that. I'm just like, you know, I'm like bashing raglans a lot on here. It's actually not because I think raglans are bad, but I just think it's been done. And I do love a good basic shape. So I basically did that with the Christmas sweater raglan, right? I just love trying different things and seeing different things being done and just work. There's just never just the one way. There's so many different things that can be done with knitting, and I just love to see it. So Christmas presents ready to be shipped basically now that I showed them to you, and I guess that will go with the equally kind of beige coloured suit that I made for my nephew that you saw earlier. Everyone's going to be wearing the same cheerful colour. They asked for it. I mean, they wanted it. It's not my fault. Those are all the projects that I have to show you that are finished. I do have one item that is a work in progress, but it is actually going to overlap a bit with acquisitions. I probably, like many others, haven't really been buying all that much knitting stuff this year because I haven't been going to that many shows, which has been great for my stash, honestly. That plus the D-stash, it's actually shrunk quite a bit this year, which is amazing. But I did feel a need to add a little bit to my stash. I've been wanting to knit something with my existing Holst Coast yarn. This is their cotton wool blend, which is quite nice. And I'm not going to say what I'm designing with it just yet, but just like it's top down. It's got a ribbed neckline. I'm working up the details of it. You're probably not going to see this until next year, to be perfectly honest. But I didn't have any white coast. I really thought I did, but apparently no, there's no white coast here. So I looked it up and, you know, I thought I could just order one from Holst, but it's like ordering one little skein all the way from Denmark with the shipping. So I went to Yarn Sub, which is a great website for looking for ways to substitute yarn. I wish it would pay a little bit more emphasis on yarn that have the exact same meters. I wish that would give it a bit more priority, because often identical yarns don't match up 100% when they actually are 100%. This, however, did, and it is identical. This is Hjertegarn Organic 350 wool cotton, also from Denmark, hence the flag. It is identical. This is exactly the same yarn. Like, it is the same. I'm just going to read you the details on the back. 350 meters per 50 gram ball. It is 55% merino, 45% cotton. This is the same. I'm telling you, it's the same yarn. So I'm going to be using this as the contrast color for this blue sweater. Yeah, a little bit of yarn research. So that meant that I could get this yarn from a UK yarn shop and save a little bit of shipping, given that I just wanted one skein and not like a lot of stuff. But as for the yarn extravaganza, I splurged. The first order I got was Wild and Woolly's order, because they have this bike delivery. So, you know, it's like, here's your yarn. And I'm like, why does this delivery know exactly what I've ordered? And it is because it's their personal yarn bike delivery. And yeah, so I got the Wild and Woolly bag. I don't think I got any of the other ones. We'll see. I'm still waiting for my Knit with Attitude order. Yes, I ordered mostly from my local shops. What can I say? And yeah, I got a sweater quantity of Tukuwool Fingering. I love Tukuwool. I love this yarn, but I've actually never done a whole garment in it. I did design some mittens in it way back when, the Eurobook mittens, and now I can do a whole garment. I don't know which one yet. I have my eyes on some, but we'll see. This is a charcoal. Yay, focus, that's pretty nice. Very nice charcoal. I am just not a very colourful person, I have to say. I knit surprisingly colourful things, given that I most of the time wear black. That's just... yeah, that's my cheerful wardrobe there. So here we have just a bunch of lovely Tukuwool skeins. I'm surprised at how few I needed to get sweater quantity. I was just looking at various patterns out there that use Tukuwool at the gauges that I was interested in, and they just recommended this amount in my size. So I'm like, okay, who am I to say no? So looking forward to knit whatever I'm going to knit with this, but I'm not rushing it because I've got a lot of projects going. I've got a lot of designs that need to come out. in addition to the yarn, I got this book. And I will fully admit I haven't even opened the book just yet. I knew I wanted this since it came out in Sweden, because this is a book that kind of recreates the hönsstrick tradition. Tradition may be a strong word, it's more of a recent anti-tradition, if you will. So this is from a kind of, I'm gonna say 1970s feminist knitting movement in Scandinavia, where, you know, they were trying to kind of reject a lot of the sort of domestic associations with craft, but they still wanted to knit. So they basically pushed away all the stuff that you are supposed to knit that I quite love. But, you know, I understand the motivations, and so they decided, yeah, we're gonna do color work garments, we're gonna do, you know, kofta and all that stuff, but we're gonna just use all the colors and we're gonna have all the motifs. They're not gonna be all that like folky traditional stuff. Oh no, we're gonna put ducks and fish skeletons and acorns and monkeys on them, and that's just how it's gonna look. So yeah, this is the front cover. Just to give you a close-up, you can get an idea of, this is such a typical hönsstrick type garment. Hönsstrick actually means hen knit, so like hen as in chicken. And oh, it's so cool. So this is the back side. I can show you the back side too. It gives you an idea. It is so cool. I love this. I love that this has been recreated too. I mean, this is their designs, obviously. So here's a hönsstrick tank top. A pretty classic hönsstrick type cardigan. I mean, you just have to love these shorts. They are so cool. I love them. So you get the idea. That's kind of the theme of this book. I had to have it in my collection. I think everyone understands. It's just brilliant. Hey, maybe I will one day design something hönsstrick-ish, but for now I'm just going to be enjoying other people's work, and yeah, that's going to go right on my shelf. So that was my Wild and Woolly order. I did also make an order from my other local London shop, Tribe in Richmond. Now, Richmond is way on the other side of London. I live in the cool hipstery east, whereas Tribe is in the very posh and fancy west. And so I haven't been there in ages. I can't believe I didn't even go all summer. Like, I don't even go out in London anymore. I'm just like, nah, there's a pandemic. I'm not having it. So I bought more yarn for this sweater. One more skein. This is the Gilpin Lalland, which they stock at Tribe, thank goodness. So I can finally finish the Löweton Mama. That is the only project I have to talk about that is in progress, because she's so close to being done. This is her stockinette sweater. I have done everything in stockinette. I am only at the end where I need to do rib for the cuffs and for the body. Yes, I am a kind of chaotic knitter who just knits from all ends at the same time. What? Why? Why not? So I need a lot of rib for the body. I think I want to just have it to be like, I don't know, like 4 inches. Just like go for it. And I need another skein. I think this is the second time I'm buying another skein for this sweater. I initially thought I needed a lot less than I ended up needing, and I didn't really. I estimated based on a project on Ravelry. Okay. Oops. So yeah, this sweater lives in my pink hazel bag, which I need a lot of strength today to not shop from today's pink hazel bag shop update for Christmas, because like those bags, I love them. I love them so much. And I have like slight regrets about not shopping the last update, because I just like, I am slightly obsessed with her bags. I already have too many. The shipping from there to here is a bit much, so I just should really just hold myself back. Okay, everyone hold me back. So the final acquisition that I have from Tribe is a new book. Yes, another one. This is a Lane magazine publication. I guess they're just Lane publication. This is Fair Isle Week by Mary Jane Mucklestone. And I love a good Mary Jane Mucklestone book. I think her books are great. Her designs are cool. Very much up my alley. I don't think anyone is shocked. And yeah, I also love the whole Lane aesthetic. So just getting that together in a book. I mean, I can't say no. I had to buy it. And it made me so much more impatient for the Knit with Attitude book that is not by Lane in any way. It is just working with a lot of the people in Lane. So I'm expecting it to look as cool, and I'm excited. So yeah, this is the kind of idea here, just to give you a sense of the kind of book we're dealing with. It is a pattern book, obviously. It's got just a lot of lovely Farrell style, Mary Jane Mucklestone loveliness. I just think we have to admit at this point that I'm collecting Lane books. Just that's what's happening here. Yeah, I love it. I think it's just really, really pretty. So that is it for acquisitions. We're basically gone through the entire program of this Skeindeer Knits episode, and it was a long one, my goodness. So all I really have left to say is actually a massive thank you. I want to just pick up the thread from the conversation that we had last time when I talked a little bit about the kind of backside of doing YouTube and being a content creator on YouTube, and what it really means when you subscribe, when you click like, when you leave a comment, and all those things. I want to make a couple of things very clear. I never once think I said or mean that you have to leave a comment or that you have to be public about your subscription status. Absolutely not. That is not something you have to do in any way, sense, or form. And I don't want anyone to feel pressured to do that. That's absolutely not what I was saying. But having said that, it made a huge difference for that episode. I'm assuming a lot of people who normally don't, but this time did, leave a comment, and people who hadn't thought about it before but this time did subscribe. It made a massive difference. Like, that video was in the algorithm, was in the loop so much longer. I kept receiving comments on that video way longer period of time than I normally do in my videos. It really helped. I was amazed to see it. It was not like an experiment or anything. I didn't really know what was going to happen. I'm actually really, really, really pleased at the level of kind of conversation that was had in the comments, and I need to really reply to a lot more of them. I was absolutely floored by both the response, but also about how it worked. Like, what you guys did worked in a way that I had not anticipated, honestly. And so thank you. And I think we're now over 18,000 subscribers, which is amazing. And the video, like I said, it was just like any other podcast episode, but just because of the engagement in the comments, with the likes, with the subscribers, it just kind of it got to live for a little bit longer before going into the archives, if you will. And so I guess what I want to round off this episode by saying is, keep doing that for your favorite podcasts, you know, not just mine, but do it for all of them, your favorite knitting podcasts and other YouTube content creators. Give a little bit of love back. And this is as much to myself as to anyone else, to remind myself, you know what, do you like this video, Ellie? Yes, I did. Okay, leave a like, Ellie. Yes, okay, I will. Do you like this channel? Yes, I do. Do you want to keep watching the video? Yes, I do. Click subscribe, Ellie. Okay, you know, this is how I talk to myself. You're welcome to be privy to that. And yeah, if I have something nice to say, even if it's just, wow, I really like this video, thanks for putting in the work, I'm gonna do that now. Like, I've just seen what a difference it makes. So I just thought I'd put that out there. That was really exciting to see. Of course, me being me, didn't actually keep up momentum myself and put up more videos. So it's been a bit of a lull for a while, and that's why am I like this? So that is all I have to tell you today. That is the episode. Thank you so much for watching, for your continuous support and engagement on this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!